Okay, this is going to be kind of a relaxed video, just something very soft and easygoing. I want to explain why I don't use WorldEdit in my builds, especially my single player world. So in my pre-alpha single player world, you've probably seen the videos on my channel. I do a lot of large structures, and many of those structures are just kind of the same blocks being repeated over and over again. So for example, you have the floor of the observatory base perimeter area, and that is all snow blocks, and that took me about 40 to 45 minutes of just spamming the same snow block over and over and over again in a circular pattern. And then you have the walls of the observatory and the walls of the pre-alpha block gallery and all of that stuff. The iron wall as well around the perimeter of the base. And I guess I could have used WorldEdit for creating shapes and things like that with different materials. But the problem I have with that is that when you use WorldEdit, it feels like the build itself wasn't really your accomplishment. It feels like you didn't do anything, because you really didn't do anything. Whereas when you build things block by block with your hand, or, you know, just with whatever technology is in the game currently. So in the future, if there was some kind of mechanics where you could use electricity or automation to help build things, or you had robots that would help you out, that's also fine too. Just anything that's in the vanilla game, that's not some cheap command. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. WorldEdit definitely has its use cases for building custom maps or flat maps, or, you know, anything like that. It has tons of great use cases where there's no way in hell you'd want to do it by hand. And like I said, the main example is for big custom maps and things like that. You think about some of the Minecraft maps where they have islands and mountains and all kinds of things like that, and they need help generating all that stuff. Or you even have like void worlds with no blocks except one block. The map Skyblock from Minecraft that became very popular for a long time, and I think still is popular. All that stuff requires a WorldEdit to build, and it's very, very useful in certain situations. But in situations where you have a world and you want the world to be built by you, it's kind of like a personal thing to you, it's a private world, and you want to log in and feel like everything that's in that world was built because you placed the blocks individually and you went through the grind, you went through the hard work, and you can kind of look back on everything you've built and you can tell a story. So you can say, I remember when I built this, and here's what happened, here was some of the troubles, you know, here's I remember when my right wrist was throbbing in pain because I had to place so many damn blocks. The thing is that you make memories doing those things. And with WorldEdit, you don't make memories doing those things. So my current single player world, I definitely could have made a lot faster if I would have used it, but I wouldn't have had nearly the amount of fun and just the amount of interest and enjoyment I have playing the game. I wouldn't have nearly what I have now if I used an automated system. And actually back in the day, me and my brother and a friend and maybe another friend at some point used to make this custom map in Minecraft called Tribute. And it was kind of a Super Smash Bros. Map. It was a tribute to some very popular multiplayer map in Minecraft. I can't remember what it was at the time, but this map was a tribute. It was called Tribute, but it was a tribute to a different Super Smash Bros. Map where you could pick classes. And so, for example, we had like a Blood Mage class, we had a Warrior class, an Angel class, an Archer class, Fire Kamikaze Archer class, just kind of interesting things like that. And we had a bunch of them, and we had a bunch of different stages. And we had Volcanic Panic, and we had an underground, underwater, sea cavern-like stage, and we had a cloud stage, and a basic arena stage, and a jungle stage that we built, and it was all done by hand, and we loved every single part of it. We probably, and beyond Tribute, we had 2 more maps that we created in later Minecraft versions because we stopped playing for years and then started playing again. We wanted to create a new map. And we didn't use mods for anything, we didn't use WorldEdit for anything. We built all of that stuff with hardcore redstone commands and just our hands with building all the maps, block by block, even the atmospheres. So the entire volcano for Volcanic Panic was built block by hand. And yeah, just every single stage. It was so much fun. I have so many memories building those stages and playing with my friends and my brother. It was incredible. We would have had the good memories playing but we wouldn't have had all of the equally as good memories building, and just the journey of getting to the end state of those maps and where they were abandoned, I guess you could say, because eventually we did stop playing, and I haven't played Minecraft in so long. And honestly, the very last edition of that custom map, we can't even find anymore. We spent hours trying to find archives of it, and we couldn't find it because we built it many years ago. We wanted to go back and try and play it again. I even had screenshots of all these adventures and going through building everything, but I ended up losing all those too. So always remember to back up your stuff and archive your screenshots and archive things for future reference, because someday you'll want to come back and visit them, even if you just stuff them in a cloud storage somewhere or something like that. But what I was getting to was that eventually our friend decided to use WorldEdit for a stage, and the stage was called Glacier. And Glacier was just what it sounds like. It was a massive ice-snow glacier with a little river and a little bridge and a little underwater cavern, ice cavern. And it was our largest map by far. And you can imagine that many of the maps weren't that big because we had to do them by hand. And we only had a few people playing at the time, or ever playing on those servers. It was just our very close friend group and I guess family members as well. And the Glacier was created with WorldEdit. I can't remember if he warned us that he was going to use a mod for it. He must have, because we must have put it on there for him and allowed him to do that. But I do remember warning him against doing that, because I knew at the time, I had the wisdom at the time to think, man, if we start using WorldEdit for one stage, it's going to find its way into other stages as well. And it's going to start making a bigger presence and kind of infecting the rest of the builds going forward. And I knew that was a very bad thing. I knew at the time, I had the wisdom to know that you should be building things from scratch by hand, manually, because a big part of the enjoyment of making custom maps is playing the maps, yes, but half the enjoyment, or perhaps even more for some people, is the journey of building those maps, and just kind of the experiences and the memories you make along the way. It's the friends we made along the way, as they say. Glacier was built, and it was shit. It was the worst map, and we had about 15 maps or something like that. Nobody liked it. It felt very open and shapy. It felt like and looked like it was made with WorldEdit. There were spheres and stuff, and predefined shapes. And I think when he built it, he made those shapes, but then he went back and like broke them up a little bit to make them look more natural. But it didn't quite work. It was pretty obvious that it wasn't human-made. And there were no memories at all attached to Glacier. Glacier just one day appeared, and it was done. And there wasn't really anything about it that was special, whereas all the other maps had something special. At least one person loved to play every single one of those maps, and different people liked different maps, and for the most part it came down to who made the map, because you have a lot of hours sunken into those maps and you test them and you try to make them interesting, whereas Glacier didn't have that whatsoever. And it was the only map that was created with WorldEdit, and it was the only map that sucked ass and nobody wanted to play, because there were no special memories attached to it other than downloading WorldEdit and using a few commands, building it in a day, and being done with it. And this was just a travesty, because I'm pretty sure that was the last map we ever made on that world. And I remember being frustrated that it existed, and I actually put a signpost in front of the little teleporter button saying, hey, this map sucks, don't teleport here for the game. And when you teleport, you get like a countdown timer on the screen and everything, and then some permissions are unlocked for PvP and health and all your class effects and everything. We had an area of effects, damages, and potions and spells and stuff. It was very, very cool. But anyway, that's kind of the exemplary thing that I tell people when they suggest using WorldEdit for a build. Now, there have also been builds in the past where, of course, like I said at the beginning of this video, WorldEdit is very, very useful. So for example, in order to make that the base of that world, the tribute world, or that one in particular was named something different. It was called like Reboot or something like that. So it's a reboot of the tribute map, for example. And in order to build the base for that world, I needed it to be a void world. So I use, and just, floating in the sky for the aesthetic of it. because I wanted the character select location and the class select location and everything to be clouds. Everything was modeled after clouds in the sky, and you kind of walked around in the clouds and selected your class, and then were teleported to the stage and everything. So very, very cool. And in order to make that, I had to use WorldEdit to delete all the predefined or pre-existing blocks out of the world, so I could have a void world. Because I think there's presets now in the game that allow you to just generate one like that, but there weren't back then. And so that's a very good use for WorldEdits. And like I said, another good use for WorldEdits is just making very large areas that aren't supposed to have a lot of detail in each individual block. So for example, if you look at adventure maps where there are big custom islands and just all kinds of just massive worlds pretty much, that you really couldn't possibly build each block build each map block by block by hand. It really does come in handy. And then you think about the old CTM maps, Complete the Monument maps, which were created by a YouTuber named Vex. And I loved playing those maps. They were really difficult, but there were some very large areas that needed to be created for those that couldn't have been done without WorldEdit. Or something like custom spawners in Minecraft. At the time, I'm not sure about now, I think there's probably commands for it now, but at the time you couldn't make custom spawners with custom spawn properties and custom monsters and things like that without using WorldEdit. So that was another very good use for it. But in terms of Cosmic Reach, all we have right now is a basic primitive mode. We're currently on pre-alpha version 0.1.12, I believe, but just a lot of bug fixes recently. And it's essentially just a primitive Minecraft classic of just a creative version of the game that tends to crash my graphics drivers all the time now. It's happening more and more. Sometimes I'm playing this game and all of a sudden my entire computer will just go up in flames essentially, and I have to reboot everything and my recording gets cut short. At least I don't lose my recording. I guess that's a good thing. But that's all that Cosmic Reach is right now. But right now it's not really that useful, because if you look at the Discord of people posting screenshots and things, no one's really making huge builds and custom maps, because there's really not a reason to. There would be a reason to if we had a survival mode, or I don't know, just some kind of combat, I guess. I've never thought about that before for this game, but obviously there needs to be combat mechanics, so you can make combat maps or minigame maps, and those things would be useful to use with WorldEdit, but right now it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Anyway, I feel like I'm going off on a tangent. This video is just to kind of explain my thoughts on WorldEdit as a phenomenon in these voxel type of games. And I kind of wanted to make a more relaxed video since it's been a while since I've made one of these. And by a while, I mean probably like 4 or 5 days. But I really enjoy making games like this, or making videos like this, where there's just a time lapse in the background and some music. And so expect more of these in the future. And if you have any other topics in particular you'd like me to talk about, please let me know, because like I just said, I really enjoy making these kinds of videos. And that's all I have for today, so thank you for watching.